why we all need therapy. 9 reminders that even normal people need. So I grew up as a pastor's kid in upstate New York, had an incredible childhood. My parents both loved Jesus. They were pastors and worship leaders, had a great life there. My parents did an amazing job of being pastors that didn't put this like unhealthy burden or pressure on their children to perform. A lot of pastors' kids, they grow up and the testimony is my parents were one way at home and they were a different way at church and they treated us different and, the whole thing. And my parents just, they did a fantastic job. They were far from perfect, obviously, but they did an amazing job of Jesus being real to us in church and Jesus being real to us at home. And they were just themselves, and they encouraged us to be just ourselves. It wasn't like, don't make me look bad in church, and there wasn't that sort of thing. And so I share this because I was really, really perplexed when in my mid-20s, I found myself in a therapist's office talking through my life, spending money, paying someone to talk through my heart and my life. And I thought I would never do that. I didn't necessarily like judge people who did therapy. I was just like, oh yeah, I'm so grateful I wasn't, abused as a child. So I don't need that. And I found myself in an office with this gentleman who is an awesome man of God, really, really tender in the way that he, kind of communicated to me as he began to see some things in me, and he began to call them out really, really kindly. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, oh my goodness, like I'm not as put together as I thought I would be. Now, the testimony, your testimony might be different than mine. I have friends who are much the same. They had such a troubled past that for them, they're like, oh, I've been in therapy since I was like 14 or 12, and I'm like, wow, it's just a different world. So for me, it came late in life, but I still talk to people on the regular who are either like anti-therapy or counseling or whatever you want to call it, or, I don't need that. I'm not going to spend my money on that, And I began to realize a couple of things in my mid-20s. Number one, spending money on counseling or talking to a therapist is very, very important, and not getting it for free, because I believe where your treasure is, your heart will be also. And so again, if you spend money on, tons of video games or tons of whatever, your heart is going to be there also. That's the way that it works. The way that you spend your money is the way that your heart goes, right? And so like if you give a ton to missions, you're going to love missions, right? And as I began to, have to shell out money to talk about the things on my heart with this person, I began to really find like, wow, like I do care about my heart, and I do care about my heart being pure as I prepare to enter into marriage, as I was preparing to be hopefully very soon a dad, and began to find that like, wow, that is one of the most important things that I want to be investing in, and not just, kind of like being, laissez-faire about that. And so what I began to find in therapy, and why I'm communicating it to you as a worship leader, because this probably isn't the top thing that you think a worship leader needs to hear, but as a worship leader, more than likely you are a creative person, and creativity excites you and drives you. And the uncomfortableness that we can feel in this position of leading worship, it's not like we're just, going up to a countryside cottage to paint or to, play our music, and then we come out once a year to do an incredible concert for people. If you're a worship pastor at a church, you're probably leading, 40 plus times a year. And the rigors of that can weigh heavy on your soul. And I'm just narrowing in on worship leading. I'm not even talking about your personal life, whether you're single, married, have kids, no kids, whatever it is. That's a whole nother thing that we're not going to so much touch on with this. But if you're a worship pastor at a church, and you do it 40 plus weekends a year, and you have a band, and you have singers, and you have a pastor over you, you have an executive pastor, whoever it is your boss, and you have people in the city that you're trying to connect with, there's a lot going on in your heart and in your life. And I want to encourage you that seeing a counselor, talking to a licensed professional, is a really, really good thing to do. And I'm just even here today to give you even the invitation to say it's okay to do that. You're not weird. You don't have to, put your hat really low or wear a trench coat to go see someone in the office. Go in bold and go in proud. And, when you come to a place of being peaceful with it, as I am right now, putting this out here for the world to see, share that with people. And I have I have told countless people from my team, and even from people, the leadership above me, it might not be a bad idea to go to talk to someone, and guys, I love local church pastors, and a lot of them do counseling. Some of them are licensed to counsel. Like my parents are very, very much into counseling, and they have, degrees in that. But a lot of pastors aren't. They're great preachers and they're great teachers, but they don't necessarily know the ways of the heart or even the ways of the mind. And when you have a licensed professional, I highly recommend that you find a Christian counselor. And if you want to be private about it, you can go on Google and find tons and tons and tons of, you could have a therapist across, the other side of the world if you want to be private about it, right? But it's so important that we have a licensed professional, in my opinion, because sometimes your buddy, your friend, your pastor, even a spouse who knows you, more than anyone else, can't solve and doesn't know how to kind of help you, with your heart and to figure things out. And as I began to do that in my mid-20s, I began to find a lifestyle of having other people in my life speaking into it in that specific way was so, so healthy. And it's almost like a part of a well-balanced diet, in my opinion, is having someone who knows you inside and out. And there's something happens when you've done it for 10 plus years with someone. It's like, wow, they know all of my history. I've paid for so many sessions with this person that they're putting pieces together for me, not just gathering information like a new therapist would. And to have that person in your life, I found to be so, so beneficial. I've had amazing moments, sitting with my counselor of awakening in my heart, of realizations of not like, oh, you're doing this wrong, here's how to fix it. Sometimes it's that, but I've had even realizations of you're in a really, really good place. What you're doing right here is incredible. Why are you questioning about stopping it, right? But if I didn't have that person from outside speaking in, I wouldn't have seen that. And there's so many examples I could give where counseling has helped me. Now it's been nearly 15 years that I've been seeing on the regular, not every single week, not every single month, but on the regular, I'm going in for sessions with my counselor, and it's amazing. So I want to say, it's kind of tongue in cheek, nine reminders even normal people need, because none of us are really normal. Let's be honest, right? We all are in desperate need of friends who love us, of a therapist, in my opinion. So just nine things I want to mention from the Bible. I'll give a Bible verse for each one. You can jot these down if you want. Your wounds are real. Okay. If you're a stuffer, like a lot of people just stuff things down from their childhood or whatever, they're like a punching bag. They just take a blow, even a small blow, and you have wounds. They're real, but they are not your identity. Isaiah chapter 6, verse 3. Number 2, Jesus came to give us abundant life. John 10:10. The third reminder, God goes before you, walks beside you, and comes behind you. Isaiah 52, verse 12. I love that verse. Number 4, God fights on your behalf. Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 30. Number 5, God is a God of restoration. I love that. 1 Peter 5, verse 10. He is a God of forgiveness and healing. Psalms 103, verse 2 and 3. It's a promise because of the finished work of his cross. God will never leave you. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5. The 8th reminder, your future is full of hope and promise. Someone needed to hear that. Your future is full of hope and promise. Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 17. And the 9th reminder, God can use your painful experience for good. Genesis 50, verse 20. God can use your painful experience for good. And that is so true. I give testimony to that. So I want to encourage you, worship pastors, worship leaders, singers, musicians, creatives, watch your heart be unlocked even more as you share with your therapist, with a counselor. I have seen my creativity increase. I've seen my desire, my ability to pastor increase. And just to be really, really real with you guys, most of the time you're not going to feel like going to your session. I was seeing in a morning time at one point, and so it was a Wednesday morning, every Tuesday night in this season, I just I don't want to go. I don't need to go. I have nothing to talk about. Why am I wasting my money? And then I'd wake up Monday or Wednesday morning, Like, I wish I could just go, not to this, why is this the first meeting of the day, And rarely did I want to go. Rarely was I excited, like, hey, I want to go talk about my issues and be vulnerable. But every time when I'd step out of that office at 9 a.m. after our hour-long session, I felt incredible because the Lord was meeting me and my heart was being changed. So hop into therapy. It's my opinion. I know some people are super anti, but it has been life-changing for me, and I think it'll be life-changing for you as well.